And yes, we are live, probably. Yes, Joe is already here.
Joe is always here first.
Joe is already here, looking forward to seeing my favorite people. Well, we're here, Joe. Hello. Happy Sunday. Happy February 19th.
Hmm.
Um, so, without further ado, let's start by introducing all of us. You probably already know me. If you probably already know all of us, but if you happen to be new here, hello, I am Reija. My channel is The Bookfinch, and yes, I am hosting this month's Stitch and Bitch, and I usually talk about science fiction and fantasy in all different formats like comics and manga and also books. And Kelsey, will you go next?
Hi, I'm Kelsey. I talk about books and stuff on my YouTube channel, The Fancy Hat Lady Reads. I've been absent since the beginning of the year. I meant to post a bunch of videos this month that didn't happen because I got COVID and I was very sick. But now that the HarperCollins strike is over and we can post reviews of everything, and I'm feeling much better from the COVID, hopefully those floodgates will open again soon and all of the videos that I was not posting for various reasons will start happening. Knock on wood.
Do I have wood around here? There we go.
Okay, Rachel, will you go next?
Hello, my name is Rachel. My channel is Colonati, and I am Colonati pretty much everywhere. And I read and review lots of speculative fiction and whatever the hell I happen to be in the mood for right now, because I'm all over the place.
I feel you on that.
Like, so far my brain this year has been like, we're going to read about biology and nature and all this stuff you didn't think you really cared about before.
Okay, Di, will you go next?
My name's Diana. My channel is Bookish Di. That's where you can find me most places. And like everyone else, I read a lot of speculative fiction. I also read romance and the occasional nonfiction.
All right, so we might as well go straight to the nitty gritty and start talking about what we're making. So, starting with Kelsey, what are you making?
I am my craft is mending. I am mending as opposed to making. I was digging through my closet to try to find something to work on, and I came across this lovely silk scarf that's one of a number of them that I have that I think were hand-me-downs from one of my grandmothers years and years ago. I've had these for years. And I really love this one, but I was ignoring for years the fact that one of the edges, the little tiny, very fine hemming job on it was coming undone over time. And now at this point, the entire edge has come unhemmed all the way from one end to the other. And I put it in this, basket in my closet like years ago, like I'll deal with this later. And I never did. So I am trying to do like a very, very fine hemming stitch job by hand here. And it's going to take me forever because I let the entire length of the scarf come undone.
Have you tried that like handkerchief edge stitch for doing a rolled hem?
Is that where you because I don't know what the name, I've forgotten the name for the
I can't remember what it is
doing,
either.
but I know I think I'm doing the thing you're describing where like you sort of send the needle along inside the tuck and then you come out and do just like a little nip and go back in.
Is it like
it's like you don't really have to turn it and fold it all the way before you start. You can just like go down and take a stitch, go up and take a stitch, like a running stitch inside, then down. And then when you pull the thread, it automatically rolls it. Like, so you get this like perfect, like 1/8 of an inch rolled hem.
Oh, interesting.
I've done it. I did it on a batch.
I wonder if that's just a more efficient way of doing
Yeah, it is.
I'm
It is very
doing.
similar to the way of just like rolling it and kind of doing it, but it's you don't have to like. I hate folding over and trying to keep it folded over, especially if it's like a really fine, slinky fabric. But yeah,
Yeah, I can't quite envision how to do what you're describing, but it sounds like a more efficient way
it
of
could be.
doing what I'm doing.
Like I said, I've done it once and it was kind of magical. I was like, all you have to do is pull this thread.
I am just doing this like I was taught to in college,
Mhm.
and that's sort of all I know how to do.
See, I never do that by hand. If I can do like it like I do that similar like fold over with a machine. Like usually I do like turn the hem over like maybe 2 millimeters or something, like less than half a centimeter, sew it, and then turn it again. And because it has been sewn one time, the weight of the stitch line kind of like keeps it folded over when you fold it again.
So what I'm doing, I think I couldn't do this with like a regular sewing machine because I think the line of the stitch would be too visible on the
Yeah,
very,
most likely, especially if it's very like if the fabric is very,
it's
how do you say, like
very sheer.
sheer.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish I could visualize what you're describing because this seems like a better way to do it. But like what I'm doing, I wonder how well the camera will show. Can the camera see this at all? I'm doing like I've got it folded over and like I'm doing a little tuck there, and then I go in. And like I go along the line there for like I can go like 1/4 of an inch, 1/3 of an inch before I come back out.
Yeah, I think it's similar.
So that like very little stitching actually shows anywhere.
So it's like an invisible stitch, basically.
Yeah.
So you catch only like from the sort of right
Actually,
side of the
just because
fabric,
I was
you
holding it
catch
this
like
way, I
maybe
went
one
in
or
the
two.
wrong direction and I went back the way I came from.
But mending, I think mending and also like like basically just like redoing and like reworking your existing garments and items should be talked about more often, because
Yeah,
it's
you
like,
should not have to take costume construction classes in college to learn how to do this.
but if you want to take costume construction classes in college, you most certainly can and should,
Yes.
because they're fun. Okay, we have a lot of people here. I see Joe, I see Jules is here, I see Elise is here, Glenn is here, Mr. Rorosuri is here, Andrea is here.
I see KJ.
Yep.
Ooh, yes, yes.
A lot of compliments on the hair.
I know. Well, thank you, thank you. I did keep the blue, but we went with some purple things this time, so it kind of like goes from blue to purple.
It looks good.
Yeah. We also like kept my roots, basically the original, like my natural color, but we tinted it with the same blue as the darker blue, so now it fits a little better, so that it like has a bluish shade now. It was very nice, very nice. And we also have some comments about the presence of a kitty.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes. So Kelsey is mending. Rachel, what are you doing?
I am working on a little shawl. You can see.
Oh, I love that color.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
This was my holiday spinning project. I got some fiber bats for Christmas and then I added another one and I was like super excited. I was like, I need to knit this up to see what it looks like. And it turned out to be this really cool gradient. So, yep. They're not really my colors though, so I may have to like give this away. I don't think I'd ever wear it.
That color reminds me of like coral or like
Yeah.
like some sort of like mermaidy thing.
Yeah, the inside.
Yeah.
Andrea said it looks like the inside of of a shell, and I
some of that
agree.
texture,
Yes.
the stitch pattern as well. So yeah, it's a lot of gray and pink, and I'm going into kind of the yellow orangey section, and then we're gonna go, and then that's the rest of it. So, but yeah,
Looks really nice.
I'm pretty happy with it. It's
Jam
Hey,
Jam!
your twin is here.
Princess Jam
They're
Jam!
doppelgangers.
oh my gosh.
They both look so unamused. And Leia's now leaving me. She's just like, okay, I'm done.
Okay, so yesterday I had some friends over, and because I had accidentally put the bedroom door closed before they came, well, not accidentally, but I didn't take Hermes's feelings into consideration, so he was unable to go behind the bedroom like dresser, and had to actually socialize with people in his tower of solitude in the living room,
Luke.
where people had access to him, and he wasn't having it. He was very much put off by the time the guests left, and now he's behind the dresser, making up for lost time.
That would, if I did something like that to poor Luke, he would panic. He does not. He has like a very small range of people that he's okay with.
Yeah.
And weirdly, a lot of it is family. Like he just knows who family is, even if they aren't blood related. Because like when my moms came over, Luke was totally chill with both of them. And like he gets along with my dad, and he normally doesn't like men, and he loves my sister.
Yeah, I mean, Hermes is the same. Like, he only really tolerates me, and he tolerates my mom, like a little bit. Like, he will go like okay, scratch that. He tolerates my mom when my mom is not awake. So when my mom is asleep, he will go sleep next to her. But when he's like when she's awake, he's like, no socializing. This is why I'm always like, when someone says that like animals don't have their own unique personalities, I'm like, I don't know which animals you're spending time with, because that has not been my experience. Yes. or any species for that matter. Di, what are you making?
I am working on my mystery knit along for the Rose City Yarn Crawl, which is next weekend. So I am trying to get this done, because I would like to at least go up one day to Portland and spend too much money on yarn. But so yeah, I'm in part 4 of 5. Let me see if I can. So there's like some texture stuff. So it's like some cables, some increases or some changes between knitting and purling. I'll send you guys a photo, because like the texture is actually pretty cool. It's just hard to show on TV, or hard to show on my computer screen.
I am not knitting or crocheting anything. I am instead drawing. I don't know what's gonna come of this, but this has been the last 10 minutes or so progress. So I'm gonna draw. I also have some cakes in the oven on post heat, so I have to take them out in about 15 minutes or so. So I might show you if they turn out nice, what they look like. It's vegan cheesecake.
When you say cakes, what do you mean? Like a cake, like a birthday cake, or cupcake?
Vegan cheesecake.
Vegan.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm taking some to the office tomorrow.
oh my god, that sounds really good.
It's like has some like vanilla and lemon zest and like
Whoa.
blueberries.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. I wish I worked with you.
Like twice a year, people get cake on my birthday and on my work anniversary. Those are the days you get cake. Do we want to talk about what we've been reading next? We are
Sure.
sorry about sorry about that, Liz.
I'm hungry too, and I've got brownies over here left over from my birthday, so I will probably take a break to get sugar in me.
I ate like 2 sandwiches before we started because I knew that if I didn't, I would start to get cranky.
You started talking about cakes in the chat, and I was like, well, guess I gotta have snacks now.
See, I had to tell someone because like this was a major accomplishment for me to actually get it done because I was procrastinating almost the entire day.
I was saying,
Like
it's
I
very
started.
late there. That's very late to be doing baking.
I know it's like it's 9 p.m. I started baking at like 6 or 7 actually. So it was a relatively quick recipe.
That's nice.
All things considered. Rachel, do you want to start talking about what you have been reading?
Well, right now I'm trying to finish up the Windflower cozy fantasy mystery series by Andy C. Buchanan. I've got one novella left, and then I will move on to some other things. And this morning, I finally restarted on A Signal to Noise, and I'm really into it now. So I think I'm going to plow through more of this. I really want to finish things because I'm done with Gödel Escher Bach now. And
oh, you finished it.
That frees me up to read other things.
But like that was so huge. How like
Yes, it was 740 pages, and the whole middle section was about various strict notation styles for number theory, which kind of lost me a little bit, I will say. So, but I did finish it. I enjoyed the section about DNA and genetics and all of that, but it was too long. Dare I say it? This very famous book is about 300 pages too long.
who would have thunk?
Like half the, like it's a good book. Like it's got some very interesting ideas, but it's also from 1979, which means that it's synthesizing a lot of ideas that were new then, but which are pretty much taken for granted now. And he spends about half of the book just explaining strict notation for number theory to then explain what exactly Gödel's theorem is. And I'm like, you don't have to teach people how to do this. You could just describe it and save yourself the whole middle part of the book. I don't need to know that. I'm not going to sit here and work through your number theory problems.
Yeah, that sounds like a book that I would not have fun with.
It won a Pulitzer Prize.
Which book was it? Was it 4, 3, 2, 1 or one? Like that? Like now I'm confusing myself because there was another like like an award-winning book. Yeah, 4, 3, 2, 1 by Paul Auster, which is like 866 pages, and it won like several prizes. And I tried to read that, and I got to around page 100 before I completely quit in a rage because that book, like, you ever read a book and you just know like how self-important every single like sentence sounds, and then you
Yes.
start to get ticked off
Yes.
because like it feels like the main character or the narrator of the book is like being super smug and condescending to you, the reader,
I
but
especially
but
hate it when the
also being very
author
highbrow
feels
for
like
the sake
they're
of it.
being
Ugh.
condescending to the reader.
Yeah.
Like,
Ugh. Ugh. But glad you enjoyed GEB.
I did. Once I got past the middle section, I started to enjoy it a lot more. So yeah, everything where it kind of tied in basically paradoxical mathematical stuff with music and DNA and the whole idea of consciousness. It was actually very interesting. So I would like to read more on that topic, but something new, because throughout a lot of this book, I kept thinking these examples that he's giving, or some of the things that people just didn't know back then, we actually have answers now. So there could be a whole update to this discussion with modern research methods, I guess. So anyway, I finished GEB. It's actually one of my goals for this year. One of my annual reading goals was to finish this book, and I did it in the first 2 months of the year. So now I'm kind of thinking I need to choose another like whopper of a book to.
Whatever you do, don't choose Infinite Jest.
Oh God, no.
You could do like the Dandelion Dynasty, because those are all
I
and it's probably going to be up for best series this year.
I thoroughly endorse
though.
people picking up the Dandelion Dynasty. Please do. It's good. It's good.
Yeah, Andrea, I know. You've read Infinite Jest.
Also,
I'm never touching that.
also, Elise, thank you.
Yes.
Spy Family. Yes.
My yes was about The Monsters We Defy, just because like I love that book and I'm glad more people are reading it.
See, because of you, Di, I put it on hold at the library, because like I went there and I saw that like the library actually got a copy in just recently, so I put a hold on it. So now I'm waiting.
Good question is, when does my hold come in on it? Because I feel like I've been waiting for that for a really long time now.
Yeah, I mean,
wait, that's not my card number. No.
So, Di, what have you been reading?
This has been like a really weird reading month for me, because I've read 6 things, but half of them have been rereads. And like lately I just have not wanted to read, which I think is actually. So I started Trouble the Saints by Alea Dawn Johnson, because I got a copy when it came out because I really liked her YA books, and I was like, oh, she's writing an adult book. I'm really excited about this. I'm like a third of the way through and I'm debating DNFing, just because it's not what the marketing told me it was going to be, I think is the best way to describe it. It's Tor's marketing strikes.
I was just gonna ask, is this a Tor book?
Yeah, so I think like it's not, I wouldn't say it's like quite as egregious as like some of the other instances. But this is like, we've already had a point of view shift. So like the first point of view is from this character, Phyllis LeBlanc, and that's the one who is mentioned in the cover copy, but now we're getting the point of view of a different character, and I peeked ahead and there was going to be the point of view of a third character. So yeah, I'm not really enjoying it. Like I have a feeling
this is sort of the issue I had with a book recently that was not a Tor book, but Station Eternity.
I have thoughts about Station Eternity and points of view.
Yeah, where the marketing was like, this is a book about this detective character, but then we get everyone's point of view and these extensive, like, weird, quirky backstories. And like, I don't mind a weird, quirky backstory, but it was the like big ensemble thing was very much not what I felt like I had been sold by the book description.
It was introduced so late in the book as well.
Yeah.
I mean, by the time that you suddenly start getting, I mean, how many different, there are like 6 to 8 of these people or something? It's like we've already established like 2 or 3 points of view.
I did not read Mer Lafferty's previous book, so this was my first experience with her writing. I felt like, based on this book alone, she's not good enough with characters for me to want to read about all these people.
I read 6 Weeks and I remember liking it. But that's more of like a locked room, closed circle mystery.
But I thought that was Station 11 was supposed to be as well.
Station Eternity.
Station
It's a
Eternity,
mystery, but it's not like a locked room, closed circle mystery.
So I personally think that Station Eternity is her weakest book, and it's specifically because I don't think she balanced the points of view well. I think what bothered me the most is that she set the whole thing up to be this kind of play on the cozy murder mystery TV thing. Like it's the Midsolar Murders. It's totally riffing on like Midsummer Murders.
And then the book is not cozy at all.
Well, it could have been kind of cozy. It went into
Blue.
like sci-fi adventure, madcap caper territory. But I think adding so many different points of view, and especially those points of view being people who were like suspects in murder or whatever, is it violates the convention of the way that a lot of mysteries are told, especially when you have a series that's told from the perspective of a recurring main character. So I thought it was weird enough that there was more than one point of view in the entire book, and then it starts throwing in all these others later on in the story, and I was just like, this is not the formula anyone would expect from something billed as a riff on cozy mysteries.
Yeah, you don't really get
also,
point of views from
I
suspects.
felt like how the other thing that violated that a bit for me was just how dramatic the stakes got, how early in the book, like way early in the book, you have like the station is failing, all these people are dead, everyone else might die as well. And like, whoa, that is more stakes than I expect from a cozy mystery.
And there's just a lot of world building too, like the whole history of like alien contact with humanity and how they're dealing with that. I'm like, wow, we could have just skipped everything happening on Earth.
So wait, how long is this book?
Not that long.
That's all in one book?
I want to say it's a little over 400 pages.
Yeah, I have it. So I have it checked out from the library right now. So it's actually like good to know to set my expectations accordingly.
It is a weird book. I feel like there are things that in a different book I would have really liked about like all of the different alien cultures and how weird they are.
I felt like there were a lot of things.
It was another one of those things. I bring it up because we were discussing books where the marketing misprepares you for the actual content.
Yeah, and I think the other thing with this book is with the problem that I have with Trouble with Saints is I don't think the cover itself is really representative, because like this is the cover and it looks kind of noiry, it looks kind of like very stylish, and from where I am right now it's much more like there are some Luke, God, I might have to go distract that cat. But like I just got to the point of view shift and it's like we get a flashback in the middle, and then it's like much more, which like if that was the book that she wanted to write, then that's fine, but it's much more focused on like Phyllis is a Black woman who passes as white, and there's much more focus on the racial tensions in New York City in the 1940s. So it's not the book I was sold on, and I'm not sure her writing is enough to keep me interested in this book. So like I might give it another couple of chapters, but I think at this point I'm considering just DNFing it, because I think my rating would be low. And from what I've heard, I don't know if the ending is going to be enough to like change my opinion on it. Which is frustrating because like I've had this book, like at least I know like it's not a book I want to keep on my shelves, which is like part of my goal for this year is to read down my physical TBR. So I'm doing it by DNFing.
perfectly valid. My opinion on that book is it has some really interesting ideas and too many of them to fully explore them. So the way that it ends, I feel like it just kind of petered off into we never really conclude anybody's stories with any definity. Was that a word?
Yeah.
Anyway.
You know what you mean.
But it has
It should be.
interesting
No,
ideas.
but it should be.
Yeah. Like the whole idea of what do they call them? The hands?
Yeah, like I
That
think
and
parts of it, like the hands are super interesting,
and
and
where
like
that comes from is talked about later in the book, and I was like, oh man, if you had focused on that legacy of what the hands means and how it's incorporated into like Black communities and stuff in this world, that is a whole story there. You don't have to have all the sort of almost like mafia people getting killed noir stuff.
I'm getting more and more confused about the contents.
yeah, that I mean, I
One of
think
the
that's
main
understandable. So
characters.
yeah, I after this conversation, I think I am gonna just officially DNF it. I am currently in the middle of the Binti trilogy, so I think I'll focus on that because as part of my reading down my TBR, as well as trying to finish some series, I never actually got around to finishing the third Binti novella. And it's been 6 years, or it's been 7 years since I read Binti and 6 years since I read Binti Home. So I'm rereading them and I'm hoping to finish either today or tomorrow.
I still love this comment by Andrea. I love how you're reading murder books and the commentary is it's not cozy at all.
I feel like with cozy mysteries, and this is someone like as someone who has read a lot of cozy mysteries, for me, like what defines a cozy mystery is like, yes, there's murder, but it's like the community around the protagonist.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I've been reading the Tita Rosie's Kitchen Mystery series, and I've been really enjoying those because the main character, like it involves the main character Lila returning to her small town after living in Chicago. And like throughout the course of the 3 books, she's been building up her community. And one of the things that I've enjoyed with that is also the author, I think in the author's note for the second book, talked about kind of the reckoning the mystery community should be having post George Floyd. And in book 3, their main point of contact within the cops resigned. So I think we're going to be getting like less interaction with less positive interaction with the police moving forward. So
Yeah,
I'm
I think
interested to see what happens in book 4.
yeah, wasn't that one of your biggest criticisms is that it's kind of has a pro copy sort
No,
of
that was a different cozy mystery series. That was the Caribbean Kitchen Mystery series, which I read a lot of food-based cozy mysteries. Like I love food descriptions. No, that was that one. No. I get the sense that Mia P. Manansala, who's the author of the Tita Rosie's mysteries, is like kind of doing her best to think critically about some stuff. So I really recommend those books. Just like if you can get Filipino food afterwards, get Filipino food afterwards because I'm always like super hungry after I finish those books.
So let's see. Rachel has talked about her reading. Di has talked about her reading. Kelsey, have you talked about your reading, or shall I go next?
I interrupted to talk about a book I had read recently, but I've not yet talked about what I'm currently reading. I am reading this book here, The Path of Thorns by A.G. Slater. It is a gothic fantasy novel. It's got witchy stuff. It's got werewolves. It's got ghosts. It's got family secrets. Yeah. It was a bit of a slow start for me, but now I'm halfway through and I'm like, I'm not going to put this down until I'm finished with it, am I?
So is that kind of like a fae story as well, or is it like
it's so far there's not been any like fae element. It does have like everything of Angela Slater's that she writes in this universe sort of has a lot of folklore going on in the background. Whether it's like directly part of the story or just sort of referenced, because she throws in references to a bunch of her other stories in this universe all over the place. And some of them, like, I've read that story and I recognize that, and a bunch of them I'm like, I'll bet this is some story of hers that I haven't read that's being referenced. But lots of folklore, no fae stuff. This one has got a lot of the sort of, you know, things that would make this a Halloween book, but I'm reading it in February.
Hey, February can be an equally Halloween month. It's like winter, midwinter. Midwinter is scary.
Yeah.
At least it is where I'm from.
It's about a young woman who arrives at the household of a wealthy family in that rules over a remote village to be the governess for the children. And we know right from the beginning that she has like ulterior motives for being there.
Ooh.
But we slowly learn what those ulterior motives are and what her connection with this family secretly is. And she's got some mission that she's supposed to carry out, and she's going to, I'm sure, come to some sort of emotional conflict about whether or not she actually carries out the tasks that she's come here to do, whatever that may be. We don't really know yet. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. I have not been So here's the thing. I am currently experiencing one of the worst reading slumps in recent memory. So my reading has been very much like either I have not read anything at all, or I have been binging a bunch of manga and webtoons. So last month I read Africa Risen, and I spent like 61 days in total reading House of Rust, which I finally finished like last week or so. So House of Rust, I finished, and it was actually it was okay. It had interesting ideas. The ending was a little bit weird. Like I felt like the book just ran out of steam in the middle of the climax and didn't know how to end properly. So it ended, but like a bunch of their like story arcs weren't really like satisfactorily resolved. So I mean, it was fun, I guess. But then I've been reading Sweat and Soap once again. I'm almost finished with the series, and then I started reading Chainsaw Man. So I read the first 2 volumes. I have the third one that I need to read, and then I will start watching the anime, because I also got a birthday present for myself, which is a whole year subscription to Crunchyroll. So now I can watch all of the anime. And yeah, that's pretty much. I read Mirror Season by Anne-Marie McLemore, and I really liked that book. I really liked it a lot.
That's their latest one, right?
No,
No,
the
it's
one previous.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Lake Lore is the.
Oh, that's right.
Lake Lore is the most recent one. I'm probably gonna read that or try
that
to
one.
read that next.
I loved that one, and I'm nominating it for the Lodestar.
Yeah, because like I want to read it because it's like nominable, and also because I just want to
read it.
Actually, YA.
Yeah, I sort of started reading it. I read like the first couple chapters a while ago, but I was not quite in the mood at the time, so I decided not to force it. But it's one of the ones that's sort of sitting on the shelf by my bed, like when you're in the mood.
Yeah.
Also, I started reading this very. So there's this. So I started reading this webtoon called Savor the Taste, which is it's basically about this woman who it's like it's a reincarnation fantasy. So that woman has been reborn, like she died in our world and she has been reborn into this fiction, like in this world that she used to read these romance novels from. So she's been reborn as a character in the fictional world. And that's the framing story, but that framing story actually, like, it doesn't matter at all. It's just there to like make sure that the audience knows why she isn't all keyed into how the world works and stuff. Is that yeah, she wasn't actually like born here. She was like reborn into like this world as a character with like all the knowledge and skill sets from her previous life. And she is like an amazing cook, and she's a foodie, and she's like constantly like trying to figure out how she can like make better food and like more food. And then there's this I think it's Duke, and he's been cursed by a witch to like basically everything that he eats tastes like a sewage water or something. Like it, like he's unable to enjoy any type of meal except all the food that this woman cooks. Like she is the only exception that for some reason he can enjoy her cooking. And then it's kind of like a sort of like an enemies to lovers romance between them, because he also thinks that she is a witch, and because a witch cursed him or and his family, he's suspicious of everyone that's like magical and stuff. But it's like it's the weirdest premise, but I've been enjoying reading it because it's so goofy.
Interesting. I mean, it sounds fun, but the framing device for it.
The framing
is
device
wrong.
makes no sense. Like if you completely took out the framing device of it being a reincarnation fantasy, you wouldn't lose anything. You
Yeah, I would
wouldn't
just be a
lose
fantasy
anything.
romance.
The only thing that you would lose is that why does she make Korean food? Because she's making like all of these like her favorite foods like fried chicken and bibimbap and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And
Uh-huh.
basically that's what you would lose if you took out the framing device. But yeah, I've been and then another one that I've been enjoying. I can actually, can I show you? Because I have my tablet here. It's kind of like a vampire story, but they're not actually vampires, but they're kind of like these beasts. So it's this one.
They look like vampires to me.
Yeah, they're like they're basically kind of vampires, but they can walk in daylight and stuff. And have like different kinds of powers, but eventually, essentially, like the main female lead becomes like embroiled between these two brothers. Like she gets like bitten by one of them, and then she turns, and then the family has to kind of adopt her into their family, and then it's kind of love triangle between these two brothers, because the other one turned her and left her to die essentially, and the other one took care of her in the turning process. So it's like it's a thing.
I feel like this may have been inspired by the Vampire Diaries just a little bit.
Yeah.
Could be, but make it Korean and corporate, because
Yeah.
also all of these vampire families have like these huge like they're basically like rich business owners that work like
Of
they
course
work
they
like
are.
corporate chairmen.
Of course they are.
Okay, so Vampire Diaries and Discovery of Witches. Okay.
Yeah, it's been nice. It's been nice. Also it's funny to me that the main character and the main male romantic interest are both like heavy smokers, and they bond and the first thing they bond over is their like brand of smokes that they both like.
Wow.
But yeah, that's basically me. I've just been reading brain candy things.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. And probably next I should read the next few volumes of Spy Family, because I bought volumes 7 and 8. So I should probably read those at some point.
I do. I have the Sweat and Soap Volume 1 out from the library. They bought it at my request, so I need to read it. I also have the 4th omnibus of The Rose of Versailles, which I think is the end of the story. I think the 5th volume is just stories. But
Yeah, the 5th volume I think is short stories, most
I
likely.
mean, the bonus material or something.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I will finish the main story of that.
I mean, I will continue to say that Sweat and Soap is not as bad as the premise makes it sound out to be.
It sounds weird, but everyone I know who's read it has really liked it and thought it was really sweet. So
Yeah,
I'll try
and
it.
it's very nice to like, because it is in terms of like, it really leans into this idea that in order to have a healthy relationship, you need to actually have communication.
Mhm.
And the main conflict that the main couple has is in those moments when they are unable to communicate with each other for some reason. So and overcoming that barrier of why they can't communicate with each other. And also like it actually also it has a, especially in the later volumes, has very interesting like exploration of how childhood bullying can like have long-term effects on you as an adult, and for like, and how that also explains like how the main female lead behaves. Like she's very obsessive about her like um sweatiness and if she smells and stuff, because she was bullied severely for it
Mhm.
as a kid, and she's sort of like developed sort of neurosis around it because of that. So yeah, it's actually pretty interesting. So those are all of the things we have been reading and what we are making and stuff. So how about, what have we been watching lately other than Glass Mask, or Glass Onion, I should say?
Yeah, that was fun.
That was fun. I really liked watching that.
I have literally watched nothing else since we last spoke.
Yeah, same.
I
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I could use a very specific type of recommendation. For I think a while now, I have been itching for a new like fantasy anime to binge.
Fantasy anime.
I like maybe it doesn't have to be fantasy. Maybe other genres would work, but like I'm looking for something, you know, sort of big and emotional and escapist and not too violent.
Okay, so what type of like anime have you watched previously?
Well,
Did you watch the Girl from the Other Side anime adaptation, which is available on Crunchyroll?
is it available on
Yes,
Crunchyroll?
yes.
Do I have to
At
subscribe?
least it is in Finnish side, but usually the
You
Finnish
know, it
side
was a
doesn't get
while.
extra
I
things.
looked for it when I knew it had been released, but at the time it wasn't available in the US.
Yeah, I saw it just like yesterday on Crunchyroll. But also like usually in terms of licensing, what is available in the in Finland is usually the limited selection of what is available in United States, UK, and Canada. It's not like we get more things. We get
Oh,
less
it
things.
is
Yeah,
available.
yeah.
It's premium, but I'd have to subscribe, but I would be willing to do that at least for a short period to watch some things.
There's also 14-day free trial if you have not done it
Oh.
yet. So
Oh, yes.
just so you know, I even got a 14-week free trial because they've changed the service up so much, and I had like not logged in like 2 or so years, and they were like, "Do you want the free trial?" I'm like, "Yes, please."
Okay, but The Girl from the Other Side is short, though.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
need something epic to binge.
well, Elise is saying Natsume's Book of Friends, which I
Yeah.
also would recommend. I wouldn't say it's necessarily epic, but it's great if you're
Is
interested
it
in like
emotional?
it is kind of like slice of life, countryside, lots of spirits and yokai and making friends with spirits, and also like
This all sounds
make
excellent.
making amends with the sins of your previous generations, because like the spirits don't actually like they sense a smell of like in your bloodline, like that you're related to a person, so they mistake you for that person, but they can't distinguish that you're different people. So the main character is the grandson of this woman who held this book of friends, this book of spirits, where she would collect the names of various spirits after she had won duels against them, and then these spirits are trying to like recollect their names back, and in the process they end up making friends with this boy.
Excellent. I think
And it has like what 4 or 5 seasons at this point, so there's a lot for you to
what
watch.
I want is something where I can just like fall into it and watch a bunch of episodes all at once.
Yep, this tracks. And it also has Nyanko Sensei, which is one of my favorite characters. He is a fat cat, or rather he is a sort of like a fox dragon spirit trapped in the body of a cat, and he's a drunk sometimes. So he goes on a sake binge with his spirit friends at times, and he's fun, and he's a fat cat.
I want to try this too.
It's so cute. It's really cute. It's one of my favorites. Like I've been watching it for like the longest time, and it's very cozy. Like it's just like, and the animation style, it is kind of like watercolory in a sense, and very soft. Another one, like anime, like fantasy anime, it's kind of hard because like do you want like actiony stuff, or do you want romantic stuff, or like
Either, both.
I mean, I would always recommend Ancient Magus Pride.
Ah. I read the first volume of the manga and was not super into it, but I remember thinking that's one where I might like the anime more.
Yeah, the anime is pretty nice, I think, and I mean, I also really like the manga. I will say that the first couple of volumes are essentially like they play into this very toxic trope, and
That was what I didn't like about it.
yeah, and the thing is that basically for the duration of the series, it deconstructs those toxic tropes, but it just takes a while to get there because it's a very slow burn
Oh,
series.
good.
Very...
And like I will get there faster watching anime.
Yeah, and the anime is so nicely drawn and like
reading
so
manga.
vivid. So yeah, I would give it a try.
Mhm.
I've recently like come to the conclusion that for some series, like sometimes the anime just might be better. For example, Jujutsu Kaisen is one of those. I read like quite a bit to the manga, and then I realized I just like the animated version a lot better, because the anime version actually adds like these like more subtle and silent moments in between different
Mhm.
scenes, so you get a lot more like character growth as opposed in the manga. And also the manga is very much like info dumpy with like lots of blocks of text, where the anime can just sort of like show you the things without
Mhm.
explaining it. So So yeah, those would
Yes,
be my
these are the recommendations I need.
yeah. And probably also like Yona of the Dawn if you
I've
like.
watched it already.
Okay, well, good.
Yes. The frustratingly, there is only one season, and it left me wondering if now do I
And it's been
read
quite
all of the
long.
manga to catch up so I can learn what happens next.
Also, it's been quite long since the first season, so I doubt that we're getting a
It's
second
right.
one.
There's never going to be any more. And now I dithered long enough that I've forgotten what happened, so I couldn't just like pick up the manga where the anime left off. I really would have to go all the way back and like, do I want to do that? But that was also one where I wasn't like emotionally invested in it. I was sort of just like casually watching it. So like I'm sort of fine that there's not more of it, and I like I'm not desperate to know what happens. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just like my watch list has been like super long. Like I just put everything like, okay, these are the things that I've missed, and these are the things that are coming out, and these are the things that I've wanted to watch for a long time. So now I have like a bunch of things. I did watch Given in like it has the first season is 11 episodes. So I basically watched all of Given the first season, and then it has like a movie and kind of like a short
Mhm.
episode as well. So I'm gonna watch those. And Given is actually really good in anime format. I read the first volume of the manga and I liked it fine, but I think that the anime actually, because you actually get to hear the songs and you get to hear the playing and stuff, and they spend a lot of time like actually like going over the characters like skill sets and stuff. You actually like see them in action playing, and you see Mafuyu's like growth as a guitar player and stuff when he first starts as opposed to the series end. And so I think that is also one of the like titles where the anime might be more accessible and may be a better vehicle to tell the story, even though I also like the manga. So what has everyone else been watching?
I can't remember if I mentioned if it had debuted Last Stitch and Bitch, but I started watching Poker Face, and it's fine. Like there are parts that I enjoy, but it also has a lot of things that I deeply disliked about The Last Jedi in terms of like how Rian Johnson approaches things. So it's not super great with people of color. In the first 3 episodes, all victims are people of color, which is unfortunate. And then in episode 5, like the twist is that the perpetrators weren't actually like hippies. They were radical, like left-wing terrorists who were planning on bombing a school. And I'm just like,
Oh, well, okay.
that's definitely a choice that he made, or like the writers made. So like, it's kind of frustrating because like Natasha Lyonne, I like Natasha Lyonne, like her character is kind of, I like her character, but watching it is just kind of reinforcing to me that I think everyone is like getting super hyped on Rian Johnson, and like, but he's like fine. He's a white dude who kind of is reinventing the Columbo wheel, but focusing on poor Americans. And that's kind of the other thing that's frustrating is when I heard he was doing a spin on Columbo, one of the things with Columbo is like he takes down rich people. I'm like, yes, eat the rich. I love it. And I'm not getting that. And I'm just kind of like, but you had this opportunity. Like people love it when, we take down the rich. So
It's
I've also been rewatching.
Is what you're saying.
What? What?
It's not Leverage, is what you're saying.
Yes, and I have been rewatching Leverage as kind of like a way to deal with my disappointment. I feel I know like it's not fair to hold everything to the standard of Leverage, but Leverage is just like the perfect show for me because like I'm watching him just like, oh, see, I need more episodes to have a gloat. I need like the gloat is it is the essential part of a Leverage episode where they like not only explain to the villain why they won, but they also are taking a chance to rub it in. And it's just anyway, so I've been doing that. And then because Paramount Plus is finally on PlayStation 5, so the app, I started watching Star Trek The Next Generation again because I had started watching it and then stopped once it left Netflix. And it's interesting because I'm still in season 2, so it's still like the rough part. But I did watch Elementary Dear Data, which was delightful. And it turns out Leia the cat is super into The Next Generation. Like I was watching it and she was just sitting on the couch, just like enraptured by what was going on. Like I've never seen her so engaged because like she'll occasionally watch TV with me, or like if I'm playing a video game, she'll like watch the video game, but she was just super into Star Trek for some reason.
Huh.
Before you continue, I would just like to show you the cake update.
Ooh, that looks really good.
Oh, that looks really good.
And tomorrow they will get eaten. Continue.
Yeah, so that's what I've been. Oh, and I also finished my replay of Jedi Fallen Order, and I'm very excited for the sequel, Jedi Survivor. I did not expect to like Cal Kestis as much as I did when they announced him, because I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe they're doing another White Boy Jedi, survivor of Order 66. But he's just like, he's a sweet dude. He's like trying his best. He's like, but you don't have to stay on the dark side. You can come. And he's just a sweet dude. And his droid Beatty is just a cute little droid, just a cute little guy. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the sequel, which sadly got delayed till the end of April, which is going to be rough because the Horizon Forbidden West DLC is coming out also in April, and I'd already planned on like taking a day off to play it and just like do that. And now I'm just like, wait a minute, I have to go straight from Horizon Forbidden West to Jedi Survivor. Like, I don't like this. So I don't want them to delay Horizon, the Burning Shores DLC, but also if they did, I wouldn't be too mad because it gives me some breathing room between the two games.
So, Dai, did you have PS5 or PS4?
I have a PS5.
Okay, because
used to
I
have
was
a PS4, but I had registered. So in 2021, I had registered for one of the pre-sales that Sony was doing, so I got it through them.
Yeah, because I was wondering, because like from what I understand, the DLC is PS5 exclusive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which so here's the thing. I figure that there was a chance that might happen because it was on like between generations, and that's what had happened with Dragon Age Inquisition, their final because they had released Inquisition and the first two DLCs both for PS3 and for PS4, but they only released the final DLC for PS4. So I was worried with some of those like cusp games that's what would happen. So I wanted to make sure I had a PS5 for things like for Horizon Forbidden West.
See, I am not going to be forking almost 700 euros for a PS5 at this stage in my life. But I guess I will have to do it at some point. Because I also like I have Forbidden West for PS4, which means that I would have to buy it for PS5 again.
You should there should be a free upgrade or like a discounted upgrade.
Maybe? Don't know. But anyway, I'm saving my gaming money for Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which is coming out on May 12th, and I have already put in an application to get a vacation day spent on that day. So I will be spending 3 days of vacation, or like a long weekend playing it when it comes out.
That's what I did. That's what I occasionally do. So when Mass Effect Legendary Edition came out, I took a 4-day weekend. And then I had planned to do a 3-day weekend when Horizon Forbidden West came out, but I forgot that last year that my dad was coming to visit. So instead of like a weekend devoted to Horizon Forbidden West, it was like sneaking in bits of the game when I could. Also Disney Dreamlight Valley's next update came out this week, and I started playing that. Mirabel from Encanto is now one of the characters, and I'm going to be her bestie. And then the Stitch update came out over the holidays, so I'm still working on being Stitch's bestie.
I lost my train of thought.
But yeah, that's like the media stuff that I've been consuming that is not books.
I think the Dreamlight should be on basically, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's on every single.
It's on pretty much every platform. So I play on Switch, but I know it's available for PlayStation and Xbox, and I think it's on PC, and I think it's on like Apple iOS as well as Mac.
It's a mobile game as well, I think.
Yeah.
Like it has mobile version.
Yeah. It's fun. I like it. It scratches that my life sim itch, but also has like some nice questy stuff as well.
I mean, Mr. Orosuri, I should say that Rian Johnson, like even in Knives Out and the Glass Onion, you can really see his there's just something in his like style when he tells a story. Like he's very like, not only is he very referential, but he kind of like feels like he's trying to play both sides of the spectrum politically.
That is actually a really good way of putting it, because that was one of my big complaints about The Last Jedi, is that he toned down the fashy stylings of the First Order. Because like in The Force Awakens, it was incredibly explicit that the First Order were fascists, that Kylo Ren was terrible, and he toned it down a lot and turned like Hux from like a legitimately terrifying person to a punchline.
To a complete utter comic relief.
Yeah, so like I fully, and I think that's part of my problem with Poker Face, especially with episode 5, was it felt like a little both sidesy.
Yeah, because like I do think that while I enjoyed watching Knives Out and Glass Onion, though I mean I also might have had the enjoyment factor was uplifted because I was watching it with other people. So the friend aspect kind of like, upgraded the experience. But that said, even though I like enjoyed the movies and I like them, I do like notice that whole taking pot shots at the left and like that whole thing. It just reeks of being sort of like aggressively moderate, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like he thinks he's being more insightful than he is. Which is like fine, like it's okay. Like there are elements of Poker Face that I am enjoying, but like it's just frustrating that people are just saying like, "Oh, he's so like eat the rich." And I'm just like,
auteur.
Is he though? Is he actually talking about the systemic problems? Is he actually giving me the gloat? Is he actually showing how overwhelmingly oppressive capitalism? No, he is not. Leverage is doing that. He could never. John Rogers could do Knife Out. Rian Johnson could not do Leverage. And that's on that. Sorry, I like don't mean to like keep talking about Leverage, but it's just like the perfect show. It gives
Hey, but
me
isn't
so
isn't
much of what I
isn't
want.
this the platform, the venue where we talk about the things we love? So if
Yeah,
you love
True.
Leverage,
also, it's
then
Stitch and
let's
Bitch. It's
talk.
not a Stitch and Bitch show if we don't have cats and at least one mention of Leverage in Star Wars.
Yeah. But I
Yes.
would recommend folks watch, like, Rachel, I actually do think you would like Leverage. There's a lot of good stuff.
You know, I watched part of season 1 years ago and always meant to get back to it. And I
It's
think
on Freevee, so like the IMDb channel, streaming channel, so it should be available to stream for free.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, my problem with it was I think the library only had season 1, and at that time I didn't have any other streaming platforms, so yeah.
Yeah, I think if you because I access it through Prime with my because it's included with Amazon Prime and I get Prime through my aunt, but I think Freevee has its own channel.
So
I'm gonna look it up.
I have also been watching or I started watching a very weird sports anime called Blue Lock, because like one of my acquaintances recommended it, and I was like, okay, I like sports anime. I have watched Haikyuu. I know what's up. And I went and watched the first episode, and turns out that Blue Lock is like a psychological thriller with football or like soccer. And it's basically this idea that a bunch of like high school level soccer players get like locked into this like compound where this kind of like this basically this crazy scientist has been tasked with creating the perfect winning national team for Japan, so that Japan can for once win the World Cup in soccer. And basically what he's doing is that he's creating this battle royale between all of these soccer players in order to get the like cream of the crop, like to rise to the top that will form his like perfect striker is that he's looking for. So he has these 300 strikers vying for the title of the very best, and they basically have to like drop each other out of the competition. And it's like, what is this? I watched the first episode and I was like, what the hell is this? What am I watching? And then I watched the next episode, like, I guess I am continuing on because this is just like so ridiculous. Yes, I would not read the manga. I mean, I haven't read the manga, but based on the anime, I feel like the manga like would probably like not capture a lot of like I don't know. It just something about this feels like it has to be enjoyed through like a medium where you have both the visuals and the soundtrack and the voice acting and stuff like that, because otherwise it will like the sheer ridiculousness that just doesn't translate. But I'm not seriously watching it too much. Like I firstly saw it because like I saw the opening song and the opening animation, and that looked gorgeous. Like the animation of that opening sequence was like mind blowing, and I can't believe that this is the series that got that opening sequence. Like, holy hell. And of course, Chainsaw Man is on my watch list next.
I'm still so confused by that. It sounds horrific.
What's there to be confused? Boy makes deal with devil because he has a built-in heart condition. He would have died, so he makes a deal with his pet devil, who's kind of his pet dog, to survive. Actually, the devil kind of saves his life, and they make a contract, and the devil becomes his heart, and in exchange he gets to turn into a chainsaw man.
That makes no sense.
The bit that I just can't get over is that he physically turns into a chainsaw. Multiple chainsaws. That's just
Like 3 chainsaws, his hands and his head.
I
Yes.
know, but that's disturbing.
Yeah, well,
So disturbing.
that isn't the most disturbing thing about the series.
I don't want to know.
What disturbs me the most is that that's a young adult series, and I've been reading it now, and I'm like, yeah, this this isn't very young adulty, because like there is a lot of like not only graphic violence, but also like kind of like sexual exploitation happening.
Ooh.
Which is talked upon, because like the whole thing about the main character is that he was saddled with his father's debt from a very young age. So it talks about things like from the first chapter, you know that he's had to like, for example, sell a kidney and stuff like that in order to pay his father's debt to these debt collectors, and he's also been like involved in organized crimes from a young age in order to pay this crippling debt. And he doesn't have any sort of like social like network of people who he could trust or who care about him. He's been completely alone this whole time, and he only has this like devil that's his companion. So there is this other character who takes him in, who's a woman, and the main character becomes like obsessively infatuated with her, and she takes advantage of that in order to make him do different things for her.
Okay, this is sounding very disturbing.
Yeah, it is, and it's supposed to be, and that's why I'm confused that it's in a friggin' young adult magazine. Like, it's in Weekly Shonen Jump, which is targeted towards like 13 to like 17-year-old age bracket. Like, that's the demographic of that magazine, and Chainsaw Man is like published in it. So I'm like, okay, shonen is going in a direction that I did not really imagine.
Huh.
I think I'm going to like actually finish this scarf mending job today, which I did not think was going to happen. I thought this was going to be like a long task. So, if we have talked about media, do we want to discuss at all the
Chengdu?
Hugo email saga? Yeah.
We've got
Yes.
Chengdu. We can also talk about
We
HarperCollins.
can talk
Oh,
both.
yeah.
Which
Yeah.
one do we start with?
The impromptu drama section.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know or haven't been following the Chengdu saga, so Chengdu is the current sitting host for Worldcon. So Worldcon this year is going to be hosted in Chengdu, and let's just say that Chengdu has not really been very transparent or active with their communication to members about, first of all, if the members have memberships after, for example, the site selection and stuff, and their communication tends to have been mostly on Twitter and not through any other like venue like email. So now after, has it been 2 years since Chengdu won?
Yeah, because they won, I think, in DC.
They won in Discon, yeah. So that was 2021.
2001.
Yeah, that was 2021. So
Or
in
2021.
So in 2021, Chengdu won the site selection, and they have not, up until now, sent any emails or anything out relating to like the member membership base of like because site selection voters should have like the supporting membership automatically from the site selection to the convention to the bid that won.
And ChiCon members should have nominating rights.
Yeah. So they have been very lousy with communicating, and now this past week they sent out the very first email that at least I have ever received from Chengdu and Rachel.
Yeah, and I only learned about it because Rhea sent a message in our group
chat. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And
I was probably the only one who
I
didn't.
not received this email, and it was in my spam folder.
Yeah, I
haven't. Everybody's spam folder.
I haven't received it at all.
See,
I should have nominating rights from Chicago.
I have now gotten it twice.
So
because the first time they sent it, I noticed that it had been sent to me and like 19 other recipients directly in the to line, so I could see their emails. And it seems like I am not the only one. A lot of people got it in like batches of 20 recipients.
It's so strange.
Or anything. Yep. And like
I can instead of BCC
other email addresses.
Isn't that a potential violation of the EU data protection?
Oh yes,
it is not a potential violation. It is a violation.
Yes. Okay. They're never going to get dinged for it. But let's say this, like if Glasgow had done something like this, they would have been slapped with fines, or rather, if somebody reported it, it would definitely have gone down.
Yeah, it would have been also in the news and stuff like that. Yeah, the GDPR don't like freak around with this.
The thing that I think is so bizarre with so there's a whole mix of how people have gotten this email. It seems to me that the people who have nominating rights only from ChiCon, like they were ChiCon members but didn't necessarily vote in site selection, those are the people that seem to have gotten nothing at all. Like they haven't received an email at all. Then people who do actually have some sort of confirmed membership, like maybe they've been able to log into the Chengdu site and buy a membership. Most people got this batched email that revealed their contact information to 19 other strangers. And then some people are now getting the same email again, but properly sent out. And it's like, okay, what? Why? The thing that is so weird to me is how did this happen in the first place where they, carbon copied rather than BCC'd the stuff, because they batched it. Batching is a very common thing to do to not overload or try to not get your IP blacklisted or something. But if you're using a service that batches, you're talking about a service that probably is managing your subscription list and making it sure that you don't reveal people's information.
Yeah, for example, MailChimp usually you can set up like groups. And you can have emails in the groups, and the people might see the group name which has been sent, but they can't see the actual addresses.
Right. I cannot, usually with those kind of services, if you go to like the unsubscribe page, it's going to tell you more about which lists you're on and stuff like that. So this is like just dead simple stuff. Pretty much any email sending service you use is going to be similar to MailChimp or Constant Contact or iContact or something, and they're going to, take care of that for you. So it seems almost like they were batching it from not a service, but a private account, except they have an unsubscribe link. It's just so strange. I'm personally kind of wondering if they have like a homebrew email sending thing associated with their website. I don't know how previous Worldcons have done it, but it's possible that they sent it by accident when they were trying to like import things in and they didn't realize it had gone out, and then they're doing it a second time the way it's supposed to be, or to try to make sure it doesn't hit people's spam filters. It doesn't matter though, like the way you send it, number one, it's coming from some pretty much unknown email server in Hong Kong. The first half of the email in the subject line is all in Chinese. it's yeah.
Yeah, the thing that, so I use, so because I have multiple email addresses, I use Thunderbird. So
Mhm.
basically it means that I am logged in to all of my email accounts at one time, and I can access the inboxes of every single email account from this one application, which is Thunderbird. And Thunderbird is very nice because like you actually see the email address immediately. Like you for example, if you go to Gmail and you see the Gmail like UI, you usually see the sender's name
Right.
and the top
Right.
subject line, which is usually like what trips people up when they for example, fall for phishing attempts, because they don't see the actual email address. So
Mhm.
Thunderbird shows you the email address, and that was the only thing that cued me in that this was an official address coming from, like, because it was like the Chengdu Worldcon like email address, as opposed to like some weird thing that was trying to like pose as some other, like that was trying to pose as a legit thing. So
It's so strange. But it's also like such a stupid mistake to have made. I don't know. I would
yeah,
like here's the thing. I want Chengdu to be a success. I'm rooting for any non-US, non-North American based Worldcon, but their communication and their missteps along the way have just seemed really dumb.
yeah, and it's like what grinds, what really like pops my cherries in like
Is that a
like and
Finnish
grinds
name?
my gears. I'm just like what annoys me so much about this is that like these are all things that could have easily been avoided, like
Oh,
easily.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Like it like don't any of these bid committees talk to each other at all?
No, they reinvent the wheel every
Like
single
that
time.
is the stupidest thing. Like why wouldn't you have like a, sort of like a master list of stuff that these are the things that we have noticed over the years that always work, do these
I
things.
don't think that the organization, like the World Cons, have that, but I think there's institutional knowledge with the people who repeatedly volunteer for it.
Yeah,
But I
there
think
is,
that's
and that
different.
knowledge
Like
goes away
it
the moment they stop
like
Mhm.
volunteering.
yeah, I think institutional knowledge is important, but there needs to be some way of commodifying that, like having a checklist that like congratulations, you won the bid. This is what you need to do at what time.
Yeah,
And I mean, I think it exists. I think one of the reasons that Chengdu is just kind of falling down on this is that they either don't have access to that or they're disregarding it. I think they're like, yeah, we're going to have our Worldcon. This is our convention, whether it's really a Worldcon or not. And they're honestly, they're in a country that it's kind of hard to communicate between the two as well.
yeah, that is true.
I mean, we just have like a basic issue of people can't access their website without a VPN sometimes. Like it's blocked, even though it's not a spam site. So, yeah.
Yeah, you basically like one of the things that I did was that I had to set up the like the like basically whitelist the domain of Chengdu's website in order to get in.
Yeah. I ended up just subscribing to a VPN so I could check into it occasionally. I couldn't get anything else to work. But if it thinks I'm in Canada, I can see it.
It's I just like find it so because like I'm constantly in a state of like I'm rooting for you. I want this
I
to be a
know.
success. I so want this to be a success, but it's so frustrating when like you're out of the loop, and people have put in, like people have already put in money, and currently when as we're like going towards recession, like that's not something to sneeze at. That is actually like
Mhm.
like $50 might sound a measly sum to some people, but it's actually not. It's like, for example, it's like a month's utilities bill currently in Finland, for example. $50 is essentially 1 month's worth of electricity and heating.
Mhm. And at least I think you had a good idea there with skipping. Yeah, I don't think that Chengdu should be anybody's first experience with Worldcon or the Hugo Awards.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling there are going to be many, many people who have already shelled out money for site selection, nominating voting rights, all that sort of stuff, and they're going to get absolutely nothing from it.
Yeah, which
I
sucks.
my
And
I have basically zero confidence that I will be able to nominate and vote in Hugo Awards, even though they seem to now think that I have a membership. I just like
so in terms of like going to the site and like I seem to now have like attending membership and like and nominating rights and stuff because of the site selection, because they gave the like attending membership to anyone who voted in site selection, I think. And
I think
And
it's
for the record, that's unusual. Usually it's only supporting
yeah,
membership.
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that is very unusual. Like
Yeah.
probably the first thing it has happened actually.
But personally, I feel really bad for all the ChiCon members who thought they were going to get nominating rights just, by being a ChiCon member, and they're probably going to get nothing. They haven't
Yeah,
even been
I'm
communicated
actually
with.
really frustrated
Yeah.
because like I do want to nominate stuff. Like I
And
have a
that's
list.
that's the situation that I ended up in because I thought that I had voted in site selection and discovered that I possibly had not and just thought that I did. I was extremely sick at the time. So when
And if I recall correctly, that was a year most of us weren't there because pandemic.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
well it was
And
DisCon.
it was not like the simplest thing to do site selection remotely, if I recall.
No.
Yeah, it was a complete and utter shit fest for me, at least. Like I didn't get confirmation that I had actually successfully managed to do the site selection until like 3 days later.
Yeah. I suspect that I tried, but because it was December, I was sick and we were going into the holidays, I said, "I'll do that later," and then I forgot. But anyway, I should have had some sort of access to nominating or whatever because I was a ChiCon member, and I did not have that.
Well,
And
they did.
I bought their WisFis level membership, and that did successfully go through. So that's probably why I got an email from them.
So, as far as I know, they did say in the email that the nomination period has been sort of like pushed back or something. That it's like nomination period should end in like the end of April or something.
Oh, they moved the entire convention.
Yeah.
So
Also, they moved it to a whole other convention building, which apparently has not been built yet,
yeah.
which is also kind of like worrying. I'm very
Apparently,
worried.
it's difficult to know how like the Chinese fan base and the Chinese supporters are reacting to this, but apparently even they seem very frustrated with the changing of the dates and the venue, and they have questions that they're not getting answers to. So it's not just us.
See, File 770 has actually been like documenting this whole thing.
They actually have been helpful in that.
Yeah, they have actually been helpful. Like,
Yeah.
who knows? Next year, some of them might be even nominated for best fan writing.
File
Like,
770 is they've recused
recused
themselves.
themselves.
They will never be nominated again. Yeah. Anyway, that's like the one thing I check File 770 for now is Worldcon updates. But to be honest, every convention except for Chengdu tends to be pretty good at communicating stuff, so I don't need to.
yeah, I mean, this is the whole thing has been like me wondering if this is if this whole thing, and I hope it will not. I hope they will prove me wrong and they will have a fantastic convention and everything works smoothly. But for now, I'm kind of anxious about it, and it's making me think that the science fiction and fantasy community will get their own fire festival.
I really hope not. At this point, like, I have no plans on trying to attend the convention. If there even is a virtual convention, I'm not gonna bother with that. What I'm mostly concerned about is the continuity of the Hugo Awards, and I think that's what a
Yeah.
lot of people are kind of settling on, is just like, we're not gonna deal with the rest of this crazy fiasco. We just wanna make sure the Hugo Awards don't have too bad of a hiccup, administratively speaking.
Yeah.
But anyway,
that-
if you want to feel happy about Worldcon stuff, guys, Glasgow 2024 is a go, and they have been fantastic.
They're communicating so well.
They communicate so well. They're extremely active on social media. They go to a lot of conventions. Like, if you want to know what's going on with Glasgow, they will tell you everything.
And they even have their own
I won't be able
tartan.
to go to Glasgow. My dossier is due that summer. And
I've got my fingers crossed for you, but
I think my dossier is due at the end of like mid to late August. And like had Worldcon been like Labor Day weekend, then I probably could have swung it. But given when it is, like, if I go, I will have to have like gotten enough of my dossier done where I won't be extremely stressed. And I don't know if that's actually feasible.
maybe.
I'm sorry, I'm just focusing on the two cats that are both on the screen right now.
Luke is like hardcore hiding his face.
Is Leia staring at him? What is
Yes.
she looking at? Okay.
Luke, he sleeps like a toddler sometimes. Yeah, just like face first.
I sleep like that sometimes as well, so.
I was at a home goods store yesterday evening that had two shop cats, and one of them was this gigantic black cat, and he was just like curled up in a donut and out like a light, and everybody was petting him. He was so cute.
What I would give for store cats over here.
You don't have store cats now?
No, not really.
Because
Because like
not super common here, but
yeah, well, there's also like a lot of the buildings have there's a specific code for like you're not supposed to introduce any like allergens and stuff. So it
yeah.
is part of the accessibility policy of most buildings.
I will say the places I've been to that have shop cats, they tend to be larger locally owned businesses, like a large bookstore. And I've been in places with cats. Like, I'm allergic to cats, so I don't want to be in a little dusty space with like 5 shop cats. But it's never bothered me in the larger stores and stuff. But yeah,
in New York, we don't. We have bodega cats, but we don't have shop cats in like larger stores.
I follow a Bodega Cats Instagram account.
I always see it on Twitter. Bodega Cats on Twitter.
Well, nowadays I don't really follow much of anything on Twitter because
charming
it is.
When you're walking down the street, you pass a little bodega, and there's cats staring at you from the window. It's cute.
I'm just like,
I love the idea of bodega cats.
They make a nest, like they sleep on top of something, and it's like you could never sell the thing that they sleep on top of, though. Like, nobody's gonna want the chips crushed under the cat, but also they don't want to move the cat so they can get the thing.
Speaking of chip crunch, Joe says he's making chocolate crunch for us if we go to Glasgow. I'm holding you accountable, Joe, for this, since I probably will not be allowed to bring any edible things to like now that UK has completely Brexited themselves outside of the EU, so I have to actually like go through customs now. Customs.
How early is it? Like, how early is too early to start planning for Glasgow?
I've already started planning for it a little bit.
I feel like we need the group spreadsheet.
I've like the first things first was that I have already bought my attending membership, because in case you didn't know, I think it was in May or late April that they're gonna do the first price hike.
I think that already happened.
No, it didn't. No, it didn't. Because
would
I bought
swear
mine
that
like
I got mine right before a price hike in December.
no,
Maybe
but
not.
I bought mine like last week or so, and
Uh-huh.
it was still the same price. I might be wrong though, but like I did read in their like emails that they weren't gonna do a price hike until like after New Year's.
Okay.
But yeah, anyway, attending membership gets, so the first hurdle is like over.
I just want to point out that 2 of the guests of honor at Glasgow are Nettie Okorafor and Terry Windling.
Yep. Yep.
That's like really awesome.
Okay, now I'm spiraling back to Chengdu, because I just thinking about guests of honor and being
Whoa.
reminded that, oh yeah, their
Do
guests
they
of
still
honors are
have-
also
Yeah.
yeah.
Is he still listed on their website and everything, even after the like?
Lukyanenko, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. They
So they have
like he's-
no intent to.
they
make
have
it.
no intent
If they were
to like
going
let
to,
him
they'd
go.
have done it by now when they changed
Yeah.
their whole website.
Because I know that like no one is going to do anything about like Xixin Liu's like whole thing, because like he's, you know, he's a mega star in like so I knew for a fact that they weren't gonna axe him because of some comments about minority groups in China. So you know, but Lukyanenko is a foreigner, so I thought that, you know, they'd have less, you know, pressure to keep him, if
I
that makes
finished
sense.
my scarf repair. It's all done.
It looks nice. It looks fine. It looks good.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can't even see it, although I know that this is also a webcam, but still, you
Very
can't see
close
it.
up, you would be able to see it, but barely.
But no, but I will be very confused if you will have strangers coming to see you that close up, and
Right.
and I assume you would be as well.
Yes, I would be.
Sir, what are you doing staring at my neck? Thank you.
So Glasgow cites their registration FAQ says rates will increase every 4 months, first in May, then
Yes.
September, January, and then May of 24.
Yeah. So I was right.
Yep, you were right.
Yeah. So yeah. Do we want to talk about the HarperCollins thing?
Mostly what I
They
have
have
to
a
say is they
contract.
won.
It's great. Great news for unions everywhere.
Yeah.
Please unionize. I also belong to a union. They're great. They offer you depending on how strong a union you have. For example, in Finland, like I pay 400 euros a year to my union, and it's completely tax deductible, and it gives me access to the union's lawyers in case something happens. So I can contact a lawyer and be like, hey, can you go over my contract, please? Is this fair? And then they can say, yeah, these things look a bit shady, or they can say, looks fine. And you know, it's great. And also, if you happen to lose your job, you will be able to get like your full paycheck for up to like, was it 12 months or so?
Wow.
From the union like registry, essentially. So
by the way, I forgot to look up whether the HarperCollins union is still seeking support for their support fund.
not sure, but like honestly, I would think that since it's a kind of a baby union, like it would be weird if they didn't.
Well,
ask
it's
for
been
support.
around for a while. It's just out of the number of staff members, it's a relatively small percentage, but it's been around for like 70 to 80 years, I think.
Yeah, their Twitter bio says 80 years.
This is interesting. I did wonder if the reason they caved was because the other publishing houses all increased their minimum wages and made them look bad.
Daw did not. Daw published a job position for an associate editor job, and their wage range is $39,000 to $42,000.
Nice. And by nice, I mean, okay. I mean, because like, I'm very
And
happy.
isn't that a job that has to be local in New
Yes.
York?
They
where,
have to be
Mhm.
able to get into
Yes.
New York one day a week.
like,
Yes.
it's expensive here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of similar when you have this publishing contracts for like London, and then they're like, you have to be in London for this thing, and London is also like super expensive to live in, and then the pay range is like, this does not add up. This employee will not have any purchasing power after they have paid rent and utilities.
But yay, now we can go back to reviewing HarperCollins titles.
Yes, and I have to axe my whole anticipated book releases video because
I gotta admit, one of the reasons why I kind of skipped doing the first quarter like anticipated releases was I just didn't want to deal with like no.
well, I basically
Finally
had it.
post my 5-star reads of last year.
Yeah.
I mean, I had it all filmed, and I had like, go look at the union resources and stuff, but then I had like these health problems and my slump and everything, and I kept postponing like publishing it, and now it's completely obsolete and irrelevant information, so I will just throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak.
Maybe I'll start over for the second quarter of the year or something.
Yeah, I mean, I also just gave up on videos this month in general. So the next video you will see from me is my January and February wrap up that I will join together.
It's going to be a lot of talking about webtoons.
Well, not necessarily. A lot of talk about like manga. I will talk about a few webtoons, but I find that it's hard for me to talk about webtoons in a wrap up because they're like, you read them chapter by chapter on an app, so it's not as it's not as concrete as talking about like. So I usually even though I continue reading a webtoon, I don't like cover them every month in a wrap up. I will probably just cover them the one time when I've started reading them. Hey, this is what I've been reading, but
end?
Yeah, because like they never end. They're like
never end.
Well, let's see. Under the Oak Tree is like finishing its second season right now, and it's not ending. Which reminds me, I could read Under the Oak Tree. The new volumes have come out in the novel, so I should read and now we got the official translation for Riften's backstory, so I should read that as well, even though it's very sad. And it's basically like 200 pages of pining with no conclusion.
That's a lot of pining.
It's a lot of pining, but it's man pining. It isn't even like regular female pining. It's like man pining.
Different?
Yeah, so that's a bit that. Congratulations for the HarperCollins Union for getting the contract, and also like HarperCollins, I will not congratulate the corporation for doing the bare freaking minimum. So congratulations to the union instead.
Yeah.
We were on strike for how many months? Like
3 months.
It was like yeah, it was a long time.
Went on strike November 10th.
Yeah. it's like, wait, we're in February now, so
Mhm.
it was a
It's solid
long
3 months.
time. Mm.
Yeah.
Well, and
Um,
what's particularly frustrating with the hurt, like aside from the whole being on strike for 3 months, is that it is going to impact the books that they put out, because you're going to see a lot of authors who aren't necessarily going to trust HarperCollins. Like there are people who are under contract now who like signed their contract like a year or so ago who are still going to be going, but people who are submitting, they might be thinking twice about submitting to HarperCollins because they saw that they were willing to throw authors under the bus with the
yeah.
strike.
Mhm.
And like people whose debuts came out are going to be impacted by that, and just
Yeah, it's been
I
a
mean,
whole
3
mess.
months of basically press blackout is, I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
there's
and honestly, they didn't even seem all that bothered about it.
yeah. I have a debut from Harper Voyager that I'm planning on reading and reviewing next month because it came out in January. So,
We are almost at our time. So, do we want to talk about some things that we are excited about that are coming in the next month? Can be anything, can be books, comics, series, TV, whatever. Anything you like to talk about, and also, yeah, where people can find you.
yeah. In terms of stuff coming out that I'm excited for, The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi by S.A. Chakraborty is coming out next month. And I'm looking forward to that. That I think is the February Fairy Loot book, so I'm very excited to get my pretty copy. And then Jessie Q. Sitanto, who wrote Dial A for Aunties, has a mystery book coming out in March. It's called Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers. And then Max Gladstone has his next craft sequence book, Dead Country, coming out. So I need to reread and catch up, but I really like that series, so I'm excited that we're getting more in it.
So next month, Faithless by C.L. Clarke is coming from Orbit. So it's the sequel to The Unbroken. So I'm very excited for that. And then obviously Assassin of Reality by Marina Sergei-Dyachenko by Harper Voyager is coming out. So I'm very glad to be able to pick that up, and we will read it with Rachel, I guess.
I have a hold on it at the library already, so I should get it pretty much as soon as it comes out.
Yeah, I basically have it pre-ordered. So the first thing,
Yeah.
it like as fast as Book Depository can send it my way, I will get it. And then the Bitter Medicine by Mia Tsai is being published by Tachyon Publications. And that is also something that I'm really excited about. It's basically kind of like silk punk. It's about rivaling families, and it's about like ghosts and spirits and like people falling in love. So it's going to be interesting.
I
I'm
really
very
want that one out.
very excited about that. And the cover screams 90s anime nostalgia, which is also one of the things that I really like. If you look at the cover, and if you've grown up with like 90s anime and Sailor Moon and stuff, the cover just will explicitly like bring that like vibe to your mind. And then
Speaking of Sailor Moon, Viz put all the original 90s Sailor Moon on YouTube.
Yeah. I know. And then in terms of manga, Wiz is publishing Insomniacs After School by Makoto Ojiro next month. So it's about these two students who find friendship when they establish a club together for napping, essentially, because they are both suffering from insomnia and can't sleep. So then they do this like they have this after school club where they basically go for naps and stuff. And then The Valiant Must Fall by Yu Aida is coming out from Seven Seas. So those are the things that I am looking forward to?
I am probably most excited about The Moth Keeper by Kay
Oh.
O'Neill, which is their newest middle grade graphic novel. I think completely unrelated to the Tea Dragon books. I think that's next month. I have pre-ordered that one. And then the other one that I want to give a shout out to is The Mimicking of Known Successes by Malka Older.
Yes,
which
that is also coming
is
up, yeah.
Mhm.
Science fiction novella.
I really hope that Rose House comes out on time.
Yeah, Elise says that Rose House by Arctic. I keep forgetting Rose House completely because it's being published by Subterranean Press.
It is, and I can't remember if Subterranean was one that has had delays on delivering some recent things due to
Yeah.
issues.
I had bought Shauna McGuire's Mira Grant's newest novella, and
Uh-huh.
that one's been delayed.
I just got an email saying that Bujold's latest Penric novella should be coming out at the right date. They weren't completely sure about that, but yeah.
I'm just so miffed about the whole like I know their whole shtick is the limited edition like novellas and stuff, but it's like I hate it when I can't read things because like they're unavailable or too expensive for me to get. Oh, speaking of too expensive, I need to show you something before I leave or before we end because I got my boy.
What is that?
What is it?
It is Guts in his berserker armor from the Berserk manga / anime.
He's got a sword.
He's got a very big sword. He has been the inspiration for most dude with big sword things,
Wow.
including Cloud in Final Fantasy VII, because Berserk started publishing in the 80s. And yeah, but it's my precious boy. He also has like an alternative headpiece that if you take this head out and you switch in the other one, and then he has LED lights for eyes. It's great. Yes, you can sit over there. Now I just need to buy all the Berserk omnibus editions, the big ones, but they're like 50 euros a pop, so it's expensive, and there's many of them. There's probably over 20, and each collects like 2 or 3 volumes, and yeah, it's a lot. Also, Dai, are you excited for Mandalorian season 2, which is also starting in March?
I
Season
am,
2, right?
but also
season 3,
like,
sorry.
I am still frustrated with the storytelling decision that led to something from season 2 of Mandalorian being resolved in the Book of Boba Fett and not in season 3 of Mandalorian.
Well, I'm not gonna be able to. I'm probably not gonna ever watch season 3 is because I just can't find it in my heart to watch Book of Boba Fett. I don't even remember who Boba Fett was in the original movies.
See, Book of Boba Fett was pretty frustrating to me because it turned into Mandalorian season 2.5, but at least it gave me Krasantor, who is the sexiest Wookiee who ever did Wookiee.
I would say, Kelsey, you can watch the last 3 episodes of the Book of Boba Fett and not miss anything, because those middle 2 episodes are essentially Mandalorian episodes, and then the last episode is just resolving things, and you don't need to know anything about the previous episodes, which is my frustration with that.
That is the most bizarre way to pace the series.
Yeah, like the pacing of the series is actually like, what the hell is going on?
The pacing is horrendous.
It is like absolute like whoever made the executive creative decisions for some of those. Like I was like, wow, this is. I mean, I
The-
do always like Pedro Pascal, so like it was nice, but seriously, it didn't have to be Book of Boba Fett. Book of Boba Fett didn't have to be Mandalorian season 2.5.
Yeah. So anyway, you can probably just watch the last 3 episodes. You don't need to. Anyway,
Unless you specifically are invested in the Tusken Raiders being redeemed as not being like a complete flock of like a tribe of savages,
Oh,
they
that
actually
does
get like.
interest me.
yeah. I
remember being
will
curious
say
about them.
there is
Yeah.
more Ming-Na Wen, which is always appreciative.
Oh
appreciated.
yes, I like her.
And of course, you will have the sexy goth Wookiee. Seriously, he is worth the admission.
Okay.
Anyway, I am looking forward to seeing Yodito again. I will say
I will never call him Grogu. That I
He's
will
Yoda.
say.
Oh, wait, he has a name?
yeah,
he
his name's
has
Grogu.
a real name, and we will speak of it no more because the name is stupid. It's
What did you
Grogu.
say it was?
It's Grogu.
Grogu?
Grogu,
Yeah.
yes. Grogu. It is the stupidest sounding name ever. I much prefer Yodito myself.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go with
Yodito.
Yodito.
I'm going to start calling him Yodito now.
Yes. I mean, we actually have a little like at the office, we have a little like Yodito toy, and if you press his stomach, he makes these like baby cooing noises. So I always, when I walk past, I will annoy my coworkers by pressing the belly and just walking away, and then
I think one of my coworkers has like a Funko Pop version and a larger Baby Yoda as well. So yeah.
yeah.
Anyway,
I have another
the other
one.
thing I'm a little so Maureen Ryan, who I think she was with the Hollywood Reporter, she broke a lot of Hollywood misconduct stories over the years. She has a book coming out, and she has and the cover copy specifically mentions Lucasfilm. So I'm waiting for an arc of that to come out, or for someone to report what in Lucasfilm she's talking about.
Interesting. Is that Anya?
Yes, it is.
Wait, Anya
is
is
a-
pink hair?
It is a little pocket-sized Anya, and her little plushie that she has.
From what? Should I recognize this character?
This is from Spy Family.
Huh.
So if
She's
you
the
read
psychic
or
little
watch
girl.
Spy Family, yeah, she's the telepathic little girl.
And the telepathic fake daughter.
Yes.
Should I add this to my anime list?
Yeah, it's like I think the anime is pretty good, and it's like what 13 episodes or so.
Okay.
So it's like it is noir comedy,
Okay.
like spy comedy.
Okay.
Speaking of spy comedies, I kind of want to watch the Buddy Daddies anime, which is about 2 assassins who have to take care of a little girl that the girl is like missing her parents, like something happens, and these 2 assassins have to take care of her.
But
And
they're buddies.
Yeah, because they're surrogate fathers to these girls, but they're
They're
friends.
not trying to assassin each other.
No, they
That
work
would be more
together. They're
interesting, though.
co-workers.
Okay. Okay.
They're co-worker assassins, and they live together. But it's totally not gay.
I was gonna say.
Totally not. They're best friends. They're just friends. Yeah. But yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so next, where can people find you, and what's coming up next? Kelsey, do you want to start?
Find me on YouTube. Coming up next, videos. I don't know in what order and how many, but there are I have filmed nothing all calendar year. Like I had a video that went up at the beginning of the year, but I had filmed it already. And I'm finally like, I'm okay enough to film and I have things to talk about. So I'm gonna film videos. There will be videos by the end of the month, I promise.
Rachel?
You can find me on YouTube, Kalanati. I will just be doing my weekly wrap up craft chat things for right now. So, yep.
And I?
You can find me at Bookish Die on Twitter and YouTube. I just posted a 2023 series TBR, and next up will be the compilation of the HarperCollins books I read in December and January that I couldn't talk about when I did my monthly wrap-ups because of the strike.
And I am just taking February completely off because like slumpiness. So you will see me at the Bookfinch the next time in March with my January/February reading wrap up, and then I will start posting content more regularly again. But it's nice to take a break sometimes.
It is. Yeah.
So I will treasure this free time. So yeah, and next month I think we're going to be on Kelsey's channel.
Yes.
If I remember our rotation correctly. Yes. So we will be posting about that on probably community tabs and Twitter, in case Twitter has not completely dissolved by then. But we will keep you posted on when it's gonna be happening. And have a lovely rest of the day and a lovely rest of the night if you are happening to be closer to my time zone. So see you later. Bye bye.
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 Bye.